Dear Pixie, you asked us, how much input effect does an awakened starseed have on the linear process, timeline, story of disclosure for the collective consciousness? The awakened starseed has a huge impact upon the linear process of disclosure. One individual can do much within the third dimension when they connect with the memory imprints within the pre-incarnate blueprint and begin to live the mission, as it were. When one looks at the many individual starseeds together as a collective, then one sees that this collective, as a group soul consciousness, known as Divine Princess Aurora, Daughter of the Flame, it is this consciousness that creates the energetic frequency in synchronized conjunction with natural planetary cycles that is conducive for the energetic of revealing truth, justice, which then in turn creates disclosure. You asked us, is it more beneficial that we do not place assumptions, limitations, on what disclosure looks like, or that we choose a specific focus visualization for it? It is indeed more beneficial for disclosure itself as an action, event, process, that one does not place assumptions or limitations on what disclosure looks like. This will assist in the release of resistance, and that in turn will create momentum for disclosure, meaning it will occur faster in a more streamlined way upon your planet. There are enough awakened starseeds who have already released resistance within third dimensional Earth at this time juncture to assist flow with disclosure. Yet each awakened individual who comes to this point of non-resistance, non-expectation, adds to that particular point of focus for critical mass, creating what we may call accelerated ascension. And of course, the Great Reveal is a natural part of planetary, galactic, and cosmic ascension. When any manifestation is undertaken, regardless of intended or desired outcome, the assumptions and limitations act as fences, walls, or barriers to manifestation. Releasing resistance is akin to removing the dam and allowing the waters to flow freely. The pressure of the previous blocks, barriers, finally released, creates the momentum or accelerated manifestation. When it comes to visualization technique or focus, one can use any focus they wish. If this focus or visual outcome is projected forth from body-mind with released resistance, it will naturally fall into its place as pre-manifestation or pre-matter as the antimatter blueprint. The manifestation may not match the original focus or visual outcome, but its energetic will be a match if resistance is released and surrender to the process takes place. Resistance does not create an intentional trajectory. Therefore, any out-of-alignment visual utilized holds a non-structural, transient form that cannot take hold as pre-matter, therefore cannot manifest. All that manifests here is the pre-matter template for resistance itself. Therefore, the outcome is yet more resistance. This causes out of balance, out of alignment, and disharmonious frequency codes within the matrix of said individual or structure. You asked us, I currently choose not to use vaccines on my children. However, is it possible that the collective can jump into a timeline where vaccines never posed a danger in the first place. Timeline jumping occurs all the time and is part of the natural cycle of awakening and ascension. However, the timeline one would jump into would be conducive with vibrations that are of third density in a free will reality. As you go forward within your ascension process, then more and more realities, harmonics and octaves within dimensions will be available to you. It is possible, but highly unlikely, that the collective of humanity would jump to a timeline where medical vaccines cause no potential risk in their entirety. It is possible that small groups of individuals could jump to this timeline. However, in truth, this would not be the best option in fullest alignment for the ascending individual, due to the fact that in a harmonious society, vaccines, such as those used upon your planet currently, are not used in that way. The collective can jump to a future timeline where vaccines are no longer used and alternative methods of immunity are utilized. However, to jump to that timeline as a collective, it is akin to personal transcendence. This would therefore be collective transcendence. Integration takes place when the concept or construct is experienced. This provides the Aurora memory matrix for cosmic availability and source crystal awareness. Therefore, remaining within the timeline where vaccines do pose a risk and discovering the alternatives for yourselves, for you are the future timeline pioneers, as it were, is conducive to your learning, experience and integration. However, we realize that your query was regarding timeline jumping itself, not using vaccines. Therefore, we would say that once an individual has attained a certain level of light quotient, DNA activation, then they would jump to fully aligned timelines conducive with balanced growth and ascension. There is, of course, the other scenario, whereby if a certain critical mass were reached regarding vaccines not posing a risk, this would create that reality collectively, or rather one would jump to that timeline. However, vaccines themselves hold distorted foundation. The foundation and all subsequent distortions from that foundation would need to be cleared and aligned in order for the starseeds to line up with the trajectory to make that jump. This would take one to the future trajectory whereby vaccines were developed with no distorted foundation, and this would, by virtue of the original foundation, no longer be a vaccine as you know it. You asked us, are there many timelines of disclosure that we can choose to be on as an individual? Yes, indeed, there are many timelines of choice for an ascending individual regarding disclosure. These would be within the parameters of these timelines being in full alignment with the blueprint for the ascension timeline for humanity, without collective transcendence taking place and allowing for full collective integration. You asked us, with my personal inner work, I am finding there is great power of integration and transcendence in accepting both sides of polarity, and that resistance to the dark only amplifies it and makes it more unconscious and more dark. This is correct when you use transcendence to mean non-involvement in the dualistic drama within the third dimension. Integration, transcendence, simultaneously creates, as you say, great power. For the codes produced within this merge between integration and transcendence creates that which we call blue starfire, also known as light speed momentum, also known as electrical charge, needed for Stargate Ascension. Integration, transcendence, simultaneously, is also that which we refer to as multi-locational consciousness. Multi-locational consciousness also means multiple timelines, multi-timelines, as in many timelines experienced simultaneously, rather than in a linear sense, one or another. And this is the path to Stargate Ascension, known also as accelerated ascension or warp speed. Stargate Ascension begins to take place when the fifth DNA strand is fully integrated within the DNA template. This gives access to the higher stargates of hyperspace, or the Emerald City of Krista, which is the higher harmonic merge point between the fifth and the sixth dimensions. This would also be presented as the highest octave within fourth density, with potential for fifth density awareness within body-mind physicality. You asked us, I have heard that loving the dark can give them more energy in some circumstances. Is this true? If the love is pure and unconditional, it gives them energy that holds the configuration of service to others. This configuration cannot be utilized by the dark in order to further their agenda, as it contains the wrong code, if you will. This would therefore give them energy they cannot use, like putting diesel in a petrol-engined vehicle. Therefore, pure and unconditional love is harmless, if you will, to them. However, if the love directed towards the dark is adoration, exaltation, worship, and or desire to emulate them, then this indeed will give them more energy, for these frequencies hold the correct code that can be utilized by service to self frequency beings and groups. You asked us, I know that we are definitely moving into or already existing within the 5D New Earth. Indeed, this is correct. You are both moving into and already accessing the 5D New Earth. You also asked us, however, I don't want to limit how efficiently this transition plays out. My intention is clear. I want the highest divine outcome for the good of all. The trajectory you create here within the entire makeup that is you, emotions, desires, energy presentations, codes, is most conducive to and in alignment with that which we would refer to as the Ascension timeline, which is the highest divine outcome for the good of all, as you say. This remains within integration rather than transcendence, and for many shall be integration, transcendence simultaneously, which is Stargate Ascension or Accelerated Ascension, as it is multi-locational. You also asked us, I want to know where I should place my attention and action for highest service to achieve this timeline. Can you please comment on this? Ultimately, one places their attention and action for highest service to achieve this with themselves. However, there are steps to this. We have presented these steps most recently within our transmission through our conduit, which she entitled The Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame. These are specific to that which we refer to as Stargate Ascension or Accelerated Ascension. We present these steps through the teaching template that is Matrix Transportation. These steps are given naturally, in many different forms, to each starseed who attains the code needed for opening that door or unlocking those steps, if you will. This code is the formation of the 5th DNA strand within full positive polarization, positive crystallization. These steps are presented by many conduits and many starseeds upon your planet. We present through our conduit Magenta Pixie these steps in a way that stands within resonating fields for many starseeds at this time. You asked us, over the past years, I have felt the urge to disclose the truth of the artificial control matrix. However, I've mostly held back knowing the double-edged sword that it is, and how you mentioned that most do not have the tools. Can you comment on this? Indeed, we, the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of 9, can agree with your sentiments, if you will. You're holding back whilst integrating and assimilating methods in which you may disclose is part of your own personal integration. Your consideration for others in this regard holds that which we call keys of compassion, and these are powerful seed points into 5th strand reconstruction and Stargate Ascension. The disclosure of this truth is indeed a double-edged sword, as you say. The disclosure is to come from a place of objective neutrality, presenting truths in ways that inform without inducing fear, and the antidote is to be presented alongside the delivery of the information. This is most important for the encryption or code within the information. The antidote is to be presented alongside the delivery of the information. You also asked us, I would like to deliver this disclosure material by being the neutral divine perspective with a vibrational core stability and holding understanding of vibrational multidimensional mastery over their thoughts, their emotions, and their abilities to meet their inner darkness and integrate their inner polarity in a way that they are able to handle the truth of this disclosure in a way that's integrative and safe for their body and consciousness. Can you please comment on this? Your observations and your deliberations here are presented in perfect symmetry and alignment with the method we speak of. You asked us, can you also comment on this, please? I feel an important role is in teaching and helping people with the inner work so that they can ascend in vibration and effectively integrate all these changes. I will trust what I'm guided to do in my own journey, and I will make myself available for confirmation and validation as it is needed, as more and more individuals make this transition. That which you present here within your expansive conclusions regarding your star-seeded role and mission upon your planet is in perfect symmetry and alignment to that which we refer to as the Ascension timeline. Once this symmetry and alignment to the Ascension timeline reaches the critical mass point for this particular codex within the collective Aurora matrix, then planetary ascension shall take place. This then creates a ripple effect, if you will, throughout the time-space sector you exist within, and that which we refer to as celestial ascension, followed by galactic or solar ascension, followed by diamond or cosmic ascension, shall take place. We present this ascension process or ascension cycle in a linear sense, But as many starseeds are aware, this is a non-linear process. The collective knowing that ascension, both planetary and galactic and cosmic, has already taken place, and that one exists already within an ascended state upon the fifth dimensional new Earth, whilst simultaneously embracing and integrating the knowing that one is third dimensional, undergoing ascension to the fifth dimensional new Earth. That polarity of thought, that paradox that one embraces, is the key to achieving the critical mass point within the Aurora matrix and thus Stargate Ascension. We are the white-winged collective consciousness of 9. In this channeled transmission, I enter into an expansive, transformative and activating exploration of interdimensional dialogue, discussing the mechanics of Stargate Ascension. This cutting-edge information holds key codes, maps and coordinates for the starseeds on Earth, as they go through this process of DNA reconstruction and regrouping of cosmic memory themselves. The significant codex of information is downloaded to the reader, as they, through this sacred text, are called by the Dragon, Excalibur, Crystalline Light Geometry, Atlantis, and the Emerald Flame. I am so very pleased to present my new book, The Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame.